Hello, and welcome to A Journey to King's Cross, a Harry Potter book podcast. We just got done reading Chapter 13, Gryffindor versus Ravenclaw. And I am thoroughly disappointed by this artwork, because there is clearly neither a Gryffindor nor a Ravenclaw in this image. We, in fact, have a putty cat. Where's the key? Here's your boy,
Suffering succotash, my bad.
Yeah.
Anyway. Crookshanks is a Gryffindor.
He is clearly not a door. Hey, get it?
But he is a lion.
Door.
No, he's adorable.
That's true. Yeah, we have him.
Sometimes I wish you guys could see the face I'm making.
Weren't you the one that basically said that she had a face for radio?
Wow. Ouch.
Fair enough. But, yeah. We, of course, got the opening salvo of the previous chapter's ending and stuff along those lines, where the entire family is basically getting together to cheer poor Ron up after the loss of his beloved pet that lived in a normally long period of time and everything. I have to admit, though, it was kind of nice to see, like, the twins and Ginny actually trying to comfort him over it and stuff along those lines.
Until they gave up.
Listen, you can only offer words of sympathy for so long before you have to be like, all
right.
right.
Oh, yes, so let's always remember his dedicated sacrifice to bite Goyle's finger. But yeah, there's only so long you can...
Yeah, I mean, it'd be kind of a boring chapter if they went through this every single freaking, like, every so often, reiterating the fact that his family was being very supportive and everything.
It'd be like if Harry kept complaining about his dead parents.
I mean, he does complain about his dead parents quite a bit over the course of the series and everything, but, it's not in every chapter sort of thing, so we allow it. But... of course, we get the first actual practice with the firebolt and everything and stuff. I do love the little bit of content, like a little bit of lore and everything with Madame Hooch talking about the different types of brooms and stuff. It always kind of made sense that some people would be super obsessed or interested in certain aspects of the wizarding world specifically, just like everybody in the real world kind of has their hyper focuses and stuff.
Listen, it's like the classic cars, all right?
Yeah. Considering they don't actually have cars, I get the feeling that some people would intentionally hold on to and keep really good care of, like, older brooms and stuff along those lines.
They're classics.
Yeah, they're classics.
But the spells on them wear off.
That doesn't necessarily mean you can't keep them.
That's
really
true.
Good shape.
Yeah, and engines burn out of classic cars. Your point?
Yeah. That's fair.
Don't get into an argument with her over cars and stuff along those lines. She grew up the daughter of a mechanic.
Listen, I am the car guy in our family. Okay?
This is true.
You need work on the car. You don't talk to Mitchell. You talk to me.
Anyway, we of course get the nice little practice and everything and how, like, swimmingly and everything kind of works out in that department and everything.
Ooh, and we also get the worst mistake Percy could possibly do. Don't bet money you don't have. 2, don't bet money with your girlfriend that you don't have.
Don't bet the money you don't have with the girlfriend you have.
It's a really quick way to lose both.
Yes.
However, I do encourage betting clothes when it comes to your girlfriend, because that is always going to be fun and entertaining.
Yeah,
see,
that's fine.
No, here's the thing. If you can do that, that's fine. It took me a minute. I'm tired. It's been a long day. If you're going to bet
Preach.
with your girlfriend or your boyfriend, you do what we did as kids when we didn't have money. I'll bet you $10 to a donut. What does that mean? Absolutely fucking nothing.
$10 to a... What?
I don't know. It was something that I did that me and my friends did. That was our bet. I'll bet you $10 to a donut.
No, we just stuck with the classics.
To me, that sounds like you're betting, I'll bet $10 against your donut.
I don't know. It meant that we have no money. The bet was nothing, but I'm going to bet you anyways.
We don't have $10 and we don't have a donut, so it's a moot point.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Come on, who goes around with donuts in their pockets?
Right. I don't know. I'll have to look it up
Ron
and see if it
Weasley.
was something. I'll have to ask my mom or something. But like,
That was
No,
a reference
Draco.
to Harry
Felton.
saying, "Who walks around with, dragon eggs in their pocket?"
Hagrid would. Gotta keep it warm.
He'd take better care of it than that.
As we were.
I believe, I do find it kind of funny, though, is the whole reason Madame Hooch is actually there is to keep Harry safe and everything, and she ends up falling asleep on the freaking job of all things.
Right.
you have one job, Hooch.
Yeah.
I think she'd
Moisturize
be
me.
more excited about watching them practice.
No,
And watching the broom.
no, she's too busy going, moisturize me.
Get the fuck out of here.
For
Is
those
that the same person?
Yes, that's why I made the joke.
Oh, shit.
For those of you who don't know, the new Doctor Who series was it Cassandra? It was
Yeah.
a sheet of flesh because she had so many surgeries. That's all she was.
I think that was technically the second episode of the
But
reboot
she was
series.
the last pure human left.
Yep,
Are you
And
really pure human if
it
you're just a
was-
sheet of flesh?
it was Madame Hooch.
And it wasn't even her face, it was her ass.
The
her backside.
Cassandra, the character.
They put her face on her ass.
I do. This is actually kind of interesting, though, is that if one is technically paying attention, like really close attention, the fact that Cruikshanks is still technically stalking Ron definitely implies that he did not, in fact, eat Scabbers, because he seems to be under the impression that the rat is still technically on his person.
Or would show up around him again.
Yeah, like why if the cat already got his snack, why the heck is he still, going after the person who's holding it? You know what I mean? Cats aren't exactly well known for,
Right. And Harry's paranoid streak is showing. Oh no, not eyes. It couldn't be any animal it's gotta be the dog.
I really wish Sirius had a little bit more fun at Harry's expense and was just hanging around Harry in dog form over the course of the day. Just randomly show up and stuff along those lines.
Run
and get
up,
heads
lick his
pat.
hand, walk off.
Like, I would love it so much if Harry finally just sort of breaks out. He's like, I don't get it. There's this giant black dog that's been following me around, nosing me and asking for head pats
Oh my
all the
God.
fucking time, Lupin.
What
It's been
if-
driving me up a wall. I don't know
Guys,
what's going on.
What if he pretended to be a stray that Hagrid took in?
A lovable stray.
That would be the best! Because then it's like, he's there, in plain sight.
You think Lupin would figure it out, though, instantly?
Oh, yeah, that's
The
true.
fuck
Forget
are you
about
doing?
Lupin.
The fuck are you doing here? Being a lovable stray. I don't-
Woof woof. Woof 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 woof.
Serious, I know it's you. Come on. Woof.
Woof.
The fact that you tilted your head perfectly at this point.
No,
question.
this is what it would be. What do you think Hagrid would name him?
Snuffles.
Fluffy Jr.
Fluffy Jr. Fluffy 2.
Nah.
Fluffles.
It's got to be something kind of old timey and everything because something either super classic, super classic dog name, or it has to be something super old like Norbert because Norbert's a name you don't really hear on kids.
Well,
these
he's
days.
got Fang.
And Fluffy. I mean, fair.
Why do I feel like... And this could just be because my mom brought it up. So, he's got this big dopey Great Dane. He named it Fang. Sirius is
A very scary.
a big black dog, which in the movies they used a black German Shepherd. That's a big scary dog. He would give it a very
cute
loving name. He would name it
like with Fluffy.
Cuddles.
Cuddles. That would work. Yes,
So here's probably why the backstory here is I had a joke with my mom when I was in high school because we had shepherds. I was going to get 2 of them and name them Killer and Cuddles. And Killer was going to be the sweetheart and Cuddles was going to be the bitch.
I like this idea.
Did it work out?
I never got 2 shepherds and named them Killer and Cuddles.
Oh,
She got one German Shepherd named her Jill.
This was after Jill.
Oh,
I wanted to get 2 more shepherds and name them Killer and Cuddles.
I'm expecting to come home one day to find Killer and Cuddles, to be honest.
And my mom was mentioning this to me, so this is probably why Cuddles popped back into my head. But I could see him having if he had adopted Sirius in dog form, he would just be like, yeah, this is Cuddles. Or something.
Something sweet.
And then I could see Remus just walking up and being like, uh-huh. You sure his name's not Sirius? Head tilt, wag, wag, wag. Fuck. God damn it. You're supposed to be in Azkaban!
Working on it. I have to admit, though, like, the clapback from Harry, though. Pity you can't attach an extra arm to yours, Malfoy. Then it can catch the snitch for you.
A+. Solid.
I can't remember if Malfoy was in fact a really good Seeker, he's just sucks against Harry, or if he's actually an overall bad one. I can't remember. They've got to be at least decent in terms of scoring points for them to technically be in lead at the end of this book and everything. So I think he is capable of actually besting people. Because I don't remember if it was Ravenclaw who beat Hufflepuff or Slytherin that beat Hufflepuff in order to basically put Gryffindor back in the running and everything. I'm pretty confident it was actually touched on at least this like the previous chapter, something along those lines, but I can't remember. We of course finally get to meet Cho Chang and everything, and I think Davies is also mentioned in the next book as well. Doesn't he go out with Fleur or something for like a hot second?
I have no idea.
Yeah. I think you also made a comment about the fact the way Harry, like the reader in the audiobook and everything, made a comment and stuff along those lines about Harry saying that she's gonna, tail him. She's gonna have to face the consequences or something along those lines.
Consequences. Yeah, sometimes he says words a little weird. So
Yeah.
he said it. He said consequences. I mean, it was just funny.
I do like the fact that, freaking hell.
Yes?
Damn it. Jordan. There it is. Jordan.
Keep
Jordan
shooting at the firebolt?
Yeah, he's very easily distracted and stuff along those lines. I think
Are you running advertising? Are you getting paid to advertise the firebolt?
He gets really funny in like the Slytherin Harry Potter match and stuff. To at the end, he's like that dirty traitor, Jordan. Like McGonagall looks like she's ready to
do some filthy cheating that could almost kill the Gryffindor Seeker. That surely could happen to anybody. Gryffindor gets a penalty shot.
Which, there's your answer for why Slytherin keeps winning. They're dirty cheaters. I mean, just keep reading. We'll find out what happens in this chapter.
Yeah, to be perfectly honest, they're not nearly as bad as they are in the book. I mean, the movie, because in the movie they're downright horrible. They're getting away with shit that there's no way they'd get away with in the actual book.
Technically, Harry almost pulled off that move that Victor Crumb pulls off.
The one
He dived towards the ground quickly, then pulled up sharply and let Cho Chang. She didn't crash into the ground, but she coulda.
True.
She barely made it in time.
Harry is already pulling off moves that he doesn't necessarily realize have names.
That would involve Harry reading a playbook.
Oh, technically speaking, we also get Harry's first kiss with a girl in this chapter as well.
Do we?
Yeah. Alicia, Angela, and Katie had all kissed Harry.
On the cheek, probably.
I mean, technically it still counts! Because I don't think Petunia was giving him a kiss at all, so, first one probably.
She's not a girl.
Petunia is a girl. A very horrible one.
She's an adult parental figure.
Well, fine. I get the idea.
Do you count your first kiss from a girl being a kiss from your mom?
Because I guarantee you Lily was just kissing those chubby cheeks when he was a baby.
Yeah, that too. But also, if you don't count your first kiss as being from your mom, then shove off.
I feel like my grandmother would probably have a decent argument.
But anyway, we also then, of course, Harry spots the Dementors and instantly goes into action.
Without thinking. And apparently he did it pretty good, because it sounded like it was a big stream of light, or a big something.
It's implied that he actually uses his full Patronus in this scene. So it's not just like little like hand wavy thing. It was
explodes.
actually the SAG in full form, basically. And so that's part of the reason that people have assumed that Lupin was a little like, shocked and stuff along those
Because
lines.
he saw James.
He saw James, basically.
Which would have been interesting to... If someone, even if it was like after the whole Dementor showdown at the end of the book, someone was just like, oh yeah, we saw a stag came out of your wand during that British match.
I feel like that would have probably been appropriate, but I feel like it would have ruined the surprise towards the end, and it would have given away the little time travel thing early, potentially.
Oh. Well, I mean, it could have...
You know what I mean?
Well, like, it could have been, like, after they got all back and, like, we're doing the end-of-year stuff and whatnot. Like, maybe when Lupin was saying goodbye.
I mean, fair, but at the same time, it's, like, one of those little things and stuff where it's just sort of, like... This is something that should have been talked about by the people and everything, because the Patronus spell is such a massively... it's a difficult and powerful spell and everything.
I mean, maybe
so
they didn't have
this
to say...
is something that should have been brought up, but I feel for the sake of the story is the reason it's never actually mentioned.
They could have... Yeah, true. They could have also just been like, that was a full-fledged Patronus, and not mention the animal. Just being like, you made a fully fledged Patronus.
Yeah. I have to admit, seeing, like, Malfoy, Crabbe and Goyle, and Marcus Flint all frickin' struggling around, basically. I have to admit, if that wasn't a happy memory, it was a damn good one at the very least for Harry, seeing everything going exactly the way he wanted to for a change.
Like, haha, take that, motherfuckers!
And then, of course, we get back to the actual, like, Gryffindor Tower and everything, and, the party, of course, starts because we're back in the running, baby, and everything. And I do like that Harry is trying to mend the bridge between Hermione and Ron and stuff. Like, he's desperately trying to get this to work out properly, but Ron is being his stubborn self as well. He is consistent, if nothing else, when it comes to his desire to hold a grudge.
He is a stubborn bastard.
Between this and the next book and stuff along those lines, it's not too surprising some of his future behavior. Though, in his defense on this one, he, lost a pet that he was actively concerned about losing on a regular basis and was being ignored. I don't blame him for being upset, but he is very consistent in terms of his overarching personality. I do feel really bad for Hermione, though, with the amount of workload that she's taken on and stuff along those lines, and add on to the fact that she's also helping with the legal case of Buckbeak, and Ron is now giving her shit, basically, in, throwing strays her way, basically, at every opportunity. I can't help but feel bad for the poor girl.
Yeah.
Cats are gonna cat.
Oh, no.
The instances where she brings Crookshanks in intentionally, shitty. But, like, giving her shit for a cat doing a cat thing, fuck off, man. Fuck off, Ron.
I love how we've looped back around to defending her on this one, because we gave her a lot of crap over this decision to begin with.
Yeah, of course.
But also, like, Ron gripes about the fact that he's like, see, even after all this, she's still letting him just wander all over. You mean to tell me that Crookshanks is the only cat at Hogwarts out of, like, 400-some students?
Technically, every single student was allowed a pet and everything.
A cat?
And a cat would
And
be
plenty
very...
of them had cats.
A cat, a toad, or an owl.
Yeah.
Like, I get it, they have a spot for the owls and the owlry, but,
Look,
like,
I
where
played
are the
Hogwarts
cats?
Legacy. I know that there are cats everywhere.
And they just wander.
We got Mrs. Norris at the very least.
Right,
and stuff.
yeah.
So, like...
And let's be real, Professor McGonagall, maybe she has a snack every once in a while.
My overarching thought process is, well, why close the barn door after the horses got out? Your rat's dead, dude. There's no point in keeping an eye on Crookshanks at this point, because you were the only person with a pet that any cat would eat.
Nobody bitches whenever Neville loses Trevor.
Right, Trevor's always getting lost.
Besides, I saw a funny post about this. People really should have been a lot more concerned about his toad going missing all the time, considering how basilisks are made.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Should have been a bit more of a concern.
Oh, God. Who keeps chickens at Hogwarts?
Hagrid.
Who likes
Big dangerous creatures?
Hagrid?
Oh no, he wouldn't. Like, there's a long list of things.
He wouldn't, huh? He absolutely would. Be like,
in his defense, in the over 55 years of his time at Hogwarts and everything, there has not been a report of a single basilisk appearing on outside of the one that was in the chamber.
yeah, it's really hard to keep a toad on top of a chicken egg long enough for it to hatch, bro. He's got too many other creatures running around.
To be perfectly honest, he is a wizard. If he really wanted to, he could theoretically do it. He's just got... That apparently is a bridge too far, even for Hagrid. Dragons, awesome. Thing that can kill you with a look of its eye, that might be a bit much.
Fair enough.
But...
we also brought up the point, it's like, man, I want to hear McGonagall cursing a storm up in her full Scottish accent at Draco and Posse. But she only took 50 points from Slytherin. That's worth 50 points each from Slytherin.
One would think. To be perfectly honest, the Golden Trio's gotten punished with a lot more for a lot less, in my personal opinion.
We've complained about their point system so many times.
I think McGonagall's unnecessarily hard on her own house, and Snape is disgustingly lax with his house. And that's why the point system usually ends up with the Gryffindors on the bottom and the Slytherins on top.
Right, because I'm just thinking about the first book, when they were just, all they were out of bed. 50 points each. But no, these Slytherins who could have caused intense bodily harm to somebody if Harry had, panicked and fallen off his broom. Nah, 50 points total. Whatevs.
I do find it kind of funny, though, that when, Ron shouts and stuff along those lines and goes through the whole story and everything, nobody up until about Percy actually says that he's lying and everything. And even Percy has that hitch where he's just sort of like, I don't want it to be true. Not so much that I don't believe you in the moment and everything. And because McGonagall comes in and everything and starts giving them shit and stuff along those lines about it and everything. And, McGonagall takes a couple of seconds, basically, to also consider it. And he's just don't be ridiculous. That's impossible. And Ron, this is one of those rare occasions where Ron's brain must be running perfectly. Because if he had this level of logic and reasoning last year and everything, they wouldn't have frickin' bothered stealing the car. And explicitly points at the portrait and is just talk to the portrait right there and then.
Ask him. He should know. And of course, McGonagall, she's like, did you let the man in? Yep. What? What do you mean, what? That's my job. But passwords? Had them all. You knew what he was talking about. What?
I'm beginning to question the importance of the actual password system, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah. The passwords are more important than who's using them.
Yeah, but she seems so affronted by the idea of him getting let in, even with the passwords. I'm like, what is the
tell
point?
Him not to let him in?
Yeah, that's a fair point. The other one is, none of the other houses actually have a sentient thing watching the actual door.
Sentient eagle.
Technically,
you have to answer a logic question.
Yeah, it's basically saying a computer program that randomizes riddles and stuff is sentient. You know what I mean?
It's sentient enough.
It's capable of interacting. It's not sentient.
They do say that it is, that it changes based on who you are. That the questions are easier or harder depending on, what year you are and stuff. So it's got to have some level of recognition. It also accepts multiple different answers. It's semi-sentient.
Cool. My computer would like to have a conversation with you about this then.
Your computer recognizes different users based on magical means?
Facial recognition is
the
a thing.
Xbox does.
Yeah, it keeps mistaking me for my friend Matt for some reason.
Weird. Okay,
Yeah.
fine. Anyway. But you're right. It does have it
both
fully autonomous.
Slytherin has basically just a password system, but there's no like
A
interaction or
racist
anything.
system.
Yeah, and like freaking Hufflepuff has the knock, and
A
that's
secret
it.
knock.
Which, if that means if you were an actual freaking Hufflepuff, you could always get in at any given time, regardless of whether or not you're going to the school there.
I mean, to be fair, you could get into any of the common rooms anytime as long as you have the correct answer or password or knock.
Yeah, but the thing
Because
is, though,
anybody
is
can get into
that
the kitchens. You don't have to be a house elf.
the portrait, though, is specifically designed to be capable of recognizing an individual and stuff along those lines. So it
Which
does
makes the passwords redundant. Just be like, are you a Gryffindor?
Yeah.
But then if you wore a Gryffindor robe, you might be like, oh, I just transferred to Gryffindor.
I'd like to think the teacher would be capable of just,
Transferred from where?
But you get the general idea, though. Kimmy made a comment and everything when McGonagall came back and asked who was responsible for the lists and stuff along those lines, that it sounded like she cut herself off intentionally to prevent from swearing or something along those lines. And I'm just sort of like, which moron, which idiot, which rube?
Fucking bastard!
The whole point of the password system is that you don't write them down! I do feel kind of bad for Neville when it turns out that they were intentionally stolen off of him, basically.
Neville deserves an apology.
He really does. I don't think he ever gets it, though. Poor Neville. I do love that everybody knows who's responsible for this. Like, there's 7 years of students and stuff along those lines, and there's only one kid that needed a piece of paper to memorize the damn passwords.
Did they give him up?
Well, it was also because they he kept changing them, like, daily.
That would
Wasn't it
annoy
several times a day?
crap out of
Or
me.
several times a day.
I don't understand why he was allowed to get away with that. You'd think that the password, like, to be perfectly
You
honest,
can change it once a week.
at most.
On Sunday. Or something. Yeah, that makes more sense.
Would you have to ask on the way out, be like, are you going to change the password today or something, and just to make sure, or is it like something that switches over at midnight?
That would be annoying.
Who makes up the password? Is the fat lady the one in charge of it? Because according to this,
No.
Sir Cadogan is the one in charge of changing
It's
the
whoever's
passwords.
whoever's in charge of the door.
Yeah.
So it'd be Sir Cadogan then.
Yeah, because think about the password they used earlier in the book. It was something very knightly.
I'm getting puppy kisses.
I gotta go.
Yeah. Well, we're at the end of the book anyway and everything, so if you want
At the end of the book already?
End of the thing.
Chapter.
He said.
He said book.
I was in the middle of getting doggy kisses. I was a little distracted. Anyway.
What a slut.
Oh, they're just kisses. Chill. Besides, I'm not even married to you. What do you care what I do with my free time?
What? That has nothing to do with it. Anyway. Come here, Kanji. Come here.
Plug your stuff and get out of here then if
What?
you gotta go.
We gotta finish up.
I
Alright,
just-
anything else about the chapter that we can think of? Any other?
No, I think more...
At least Ron was validated, finally. Like, I was telling the truth.
Oh, you know what we didn't talk about real quick? The narration for
Oh, yeah.
that scream. Beautiful. A+.
It really was. I wasn't expecting it. Let's see.
It was great.
Lay back and felt himself almost instantly.
Alright, so hang on.
Mm-hmm.
He had a very strange dream.
We'll
He was
give you
walking
guys
through
the
a forest.
the scream in a second.
Shoulder,
Just for the fun of it, if you never get around to the
Oh.
audiobook.
it was winding its way
While
through
it's doing
the
that,
trees.
one of the passwords earlier in the chapter before was
Anxious to catch up
Odsbodikins.
with it, he sped up.
What?
Odsbodikins. That's definitely from
As he
Sir
got
Cadogan.
faster, so did his quarry. Harry broke into a run, and ahead he heard hooves gathering speed. Now he was running flat
really
out.
should have talked
Ahead
about
he
his
could hear
dream, too.
galloping. Then he turned a corner into a clearing and oh no! Harry
A+.
A plus.
A+.
That is not what would be coming out of my mouth if I'd woken up to a serial killer over top of my bed.
With a knife. You know what would be coming out of my mouth? You'd be thinking it was a 4-year-old.
I feel like little girl would be a pretty appropriate description.
It'd be shrill. It would not be the.
Yeah, it sounded very overdramatized.
Yeah, like that.
I would have been like, "Oh fuck no!" and thrown something at him. But well, I wouldn't have because I didn't know what the word "fuck" was when I was 13. But you know,
Scurvy Cur was a different password. Sorry, I had to find it. Scurvy Cur was a different password, so it's Sir Cadogan that's coming up with them.
yeah. But since I got a tip early, I'll see you guys next week. But if you want more of my content, you can find me at Luna's Creation Corner.
All right. Cole Sanders Twitch, Mondays and Wednesdays and stuff.
You can find me on YouTube at Brandywine Stitches or the rest of socials under Hockeytown Candle Co.
Wait, before we finish things off and everything, even though Kimmy needs to go and stuff, they've officially casted the Golden Trio for the new Harry Potter HBO TV series. And
Ron is very ginger.
That's my only concern, is whether or not the Weasley was ginger.
Oh, he's very ginger.
Very ginger.
He
wouldn't be.
He's
He wouldn't
Carrot
be.
Top ginger.
He wouldn't be a Weasley if he wasn't ginger.
Nope. Now they got to get the rest of the Weasleys to be Carrot Tops.
Oh God, they're gonna have to. They're gonna be struggling to find another pair of redheaded twins, though. That's for damn sure.
If they can't find a pair of redheaded twins, they better have makeup and hair on point.
That's true. If they can get that working and everything, we should be good. It'd be kind of cool if they could get back some of the old, extended Weasley family and everything, and actually give them a larger role. Because I think technically, was it Charlie never actually showed up in the movies? Only Bill did.
Bill showed up.
Yeah, because Bill ended up getting with Fleur and everything.
I thought Charlie did show for a hot minute, but maybe he didn't.
All of the scenes I can think of that actually involved him were never actually touched on in the actual series, to be perfectly honest. Because he was supposed to show up a lot in book 4 and everything, but a lot of his scenes got cut. But, yeah, to be perfectly honest, other than that, not a whole lot of concerns in that department. I think I heard some rumblings and stuff saying that there were some people that were upset about the casting for Hermione, but I really don't care one way or the other because her ethnicity isn't really relevant to the overarching story in my personal opinion.
Are we mad that she's mixed? If we're going to be mad about that, then are we going to be mad about every other mixed actor? Zendaya, Meghan Markle?
No.
They're like the same level of
Vin Diesel?
Vin Diesel, really?
Yeah, he's mixed.
Oh. Well, there you go.
Never would have guessed, though.
No.
But overarching stuff along
now.
those lines,
Makes sense
so
in
long
retro.
as nobody's trying to gaslight me into saying that this was their person's, you know what I mean? As long as you're not gaslighting me and you're upfront about it and everything, it's whatever. I mean, come on. If she's the best person for the job, she's the best person for the job.
She's got bushy hair. That's all I cared about for Hermione.
Well, let's be
She got
perfectly...
big bushy curly hair.
When it comes down to it, you gotta be... It's not like with adult actors and stuff along those lines where you can usually find the right person for the right job. There's not exactly a whole lot of 12-year-olds running around, basically, that are going to be really great actors that are going to be capable of being in the front and center. The Golden Trio are going to get the most amount of screen time and the most amount of action and stuff along those lines, so you need to get the best, not necessarily who's going to fill the looks department.
That's what makeup and art, hair and costuming is for. That's what their job is, to make you look the part.
Yeah. So while I can kind of get why some people might be upset in terms of overall book authenticity and stuff along those lines, this is not a hill I'm willing to die on. We talked to Kimmy about it and everything, and she's pretty much in lockstep with us and everything on that one. You know what I mean? And so you've already heard me talk and stuff along those lines about the casting for Snape and stuff along those lines. I still personally think it's bad optics for him to be black specifically, and I also think he's way too good looking, but other than that, so far, no serious issues. I think there were some complaints about Dumbledore not being British and stuff along those lines, but, I mean, they ran through how many British actors during the actual movies and stuff. You're kind of running out. Anyway, we're going to wrap things up here and everything so that way we can get on with the rest of our stuff. And sorry about missing last week and everything. Somebody overslept. I'm talking about you, Kimmy, if you're actually listening to this video in the future.
Listen, you forgot.
I was dog tired that day, and that doesn't mean I still wouldn't have been able to do it.
Okay, you can't give
It
her
just-
all the shit when you forgot too. Also, all of
She
us were
come-
tired, so we all took a break. But
Whose side are you on?
chaos.
Clearly. Anyway,
Until next time, keep your wands at the ready.
bye!